To help us decide, think about whether we need a percent sign or we need to get rid of one. Okay, what we need here, we need a percent sign. So basically, since we need a percent sign, we know this is really 3/4 times 100% because we want to get a percent sign. So we will have 100% over 1. So 3 times 100 is 300, and 4 times 1 is 4, and that's percent. So now what we could do is we could take 4 into 300. 4 goes into 300 37 times. 7 times 4 is 28. 30 minus 28 is 2. Bring down your 0. 4 goes into 25 times. So our final answer here would be 75, and we will put our percent sign at the end. Okay, now we come down here. Convert it between percents and fractions. As we mentioned before, since percent means out of 100, 28% is really already a fraction. It'll be 28 over 100. So really, we have already converted the percent to a fraction. Of course, we know that we always reduce fractions. So if we reduce 28% is equal to, first we had 28 over 100, and we know 4 goes into both of these numbers evenly. 28 divided by 4 is 7, and 100 divided by 4 is 25. So it's 7 over 25. Now it says examples. Write 2/5 as a percent. So we could take 2/5 times 100% over 1. 2 times 100, we know it's 200, all over 5, and we have our percent here. And you can use your calculator. 5 goes into 200 40 times, so it's 40%. Now we go to number 2, write 26% as a fraction. So we'll write 26 over 100. We'll drop our percent sign, and we know we can divide the numerator and denominator by 2. So that will give us 13 over 50. Now it says write 640% as a fraction. So it'd be 640 all over 100. Now if you look here, we could divide both of these by 10. And that'll give you 64 over 10. Now, with 64 and 10, we know that they both have 4 in common. So we divide both by 4, and this will give us 16. Oh, actually, no. That was a mistake. They both have 2 in common. 64 divided by 2 will actually give you 32. And 10 divided by 2 is 5. So your final answer is 32 over 5. Now we go here to number 4. We want to write 5/16 as a percent. So what we would do is we would take 5 over 16 times 100% over 1. So 5 times 100 is 500 over 16%. Now, again, you can take your calculator. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to simplify this because I'm working this without a calculator. So I would divide both of these by 4, and that would give me 125 over 4%. Now, because you could use a calculator, I'm not going to take the time and do the division out. But 4 goes into 12 3 times. 4 goes into 5 once. Then you have 1 left over. 4 will go into 10 twice, so that'll be a decimal. And then you will have 20, so it'd be 31.25%, which you can put in your calculator. Now, we go down here to number 5. It says write 7/9 as a percent. So we would take 7/9 times 100% all over 1. 7 times 100 is 700, and 9 times 1 is 9. So it's 700 over 9%. Now I know this is going to end up being a repeating decimal. So now what I did, I brought up the calculator here. So we're going to take 700 and we're going to divide it by 9. And if you notice, that gives us a repeating decimal. So what we're going to do, we're going to write this. This is going to be an approximation. It'll be 77.7 with the repeating decimal bar over it, percent. Okay, now, as you all can see here with this calculator. Okay, now, we go over to number 6. We have 2 1/6 as a percent. First, change this mixed number to an improper fraction. Well, actually, you don't need to. Let's work with this fraction here. So, what we could do is this here. Well, I guess we could change it to an improper. So, we'll keep our denominator 6. 2 times 6 is 12 plus 1 is 13. And we'll multiply by 100% over 1. 13 times 100%, we know it's 1300, and 1 times 6 is 6, and that's 1300 over 6%. So we'll go here to our calculator, take 1300 divided by 6, and that gives us 216.6 with the repeating 6 bar over it, and then that would be percent. Now, we go down here to number 7. It says write 5.5% as a fraction. So now, 5.5% is the same as saying 5.5 over 100. Now, they want us to keep this as a fraction. But first, you know we got to get rid of this decimal here. It doesn't matter if the decimal is in the numerator or denominator. We always have to get rid of our decimals when we're doing a fraction. So to get rid of this decimal, we need to move this one place to the right. So we put a decimal here and move that one place to the right. So it's really 55 over 1,000. Now we need to simplify this. 55 and 1,000 both has 5 in common. 55 divided by 5 is 11, and 1,000 divided by 5 is 200. So that is our final answer. Now we scroll over here to number 8. It says write 11 2/3% as a fraction. First, let's change this mixed number to an improper fraction. That'll be 35 over 3%, which is the same thing as saying 35 over 3 divided by 100. Okay, so we will have 35 over 3 times, this is really 100 over 1, which will give us 1 over 100. So 35 times 1 is 35, and 3 times 100 is 300. Now, with 35 and 300, they both have 5 in common. So we divide the numerator and denominator by 5, which will give us 7 over 60. And that is the final answer to number 8. Now we move on to 7.2, solving percent problems with equations. Section A, finding the percent of a number. What do you remember about the word of? When we were working with fractions to take a fractional part of a quantity, we multiplied the fraction by that quantity. We multiplied. Therefore, it makes sense that to take a percent of a quantity, we should multiply the percent by that quantity. Now it says, important note, we cannot do arithmetic with percents unless they are first changed to fraction or decimal form. For some reason, this screen jumped. So let me go back. It says, important note, we cannot do arithmetic with percents unless they are first changed to fraction or decimal form. Therefore, to take a percent of a number, change the percent to a fraction or a decimal, and then multiply by the number. So we look here, it says find 23% of 16. So 23%, let's do it as a decimal. It'll be 0.23 of mean multiplication 16. Now you can take your calculator and you could take 0.23 or 0.23 and then multiply it by 16. which is 3.68. Now we have 2. It says find 12% of 2/3. Now we could write this as a fraction. Since this is a fraction, we'll take 12 over 100 times 2/3. Now 12 times 2 we know is 24, and 100 times 3 is 300. Now 24 and 300 both has 4 in common. So we have 24 and 300. Actually, they have 12 in common. 24 divided by 12 is 2. And then 300 divided by 12 is 25. So our final answer here is 2 over 25. Now we scroll down. It says section B, write in general percent problems as equation. Use your skills at translating words to mathematical symbols. Remember that of means multiply. Is means equal. What or what number means a variable. Now just to write them out in symbols, we know typically we use the symbol of the dot for multiplication here. The equal sign we know is equal, and the variable we know we would use X, Y, Z, or whatever. These are the signs here. Okay, as you work, remember that you will have to change your percent to the fraction or decimal form before you could put it into an equation. Also, if you are solving for a percent, it will come out of the equation as a fraction or decimal, and you must convert back to the percent form. So, we come here, we have examples. Write and solve the equation. 30%, which we know is 0.30, of what number, we know that's multiplied by X, is 42. So now, we could divide each side by 0.30, because we want to get X by itself. And we have X is equal to, we could take our calculator and take 42 divided by 0.30 or 0.30. So that would give us 140. Now we scroll down to the next box. It says, write and solve the equation. 64 is what percent of 400? So we say 64 is equal to what percent would be X of its multiplication for 100. So now we need to get X by itself. So we would divide each side by 400. And now what we would do is this here. We could put this in our calculator. We could take 64 divided by 400, and that would give us 0.16. So now we'll put 0.16 is equal to X. Well, remember, they want us to write this as a percent. So we have to change that 0.16 to 16% equals X, because we know we will move that decimal 2 places to the right. Now we scroll down here to number 3. It says, what is 74 and 1/4% of 55? So X is, we have 74. Now watch this. Let's take this fraction here. If we took 1 divided by 4, that would give us 0.25. So really this 74 and 1/4 is really 7.25% times 55. Now, with that, we know we need to move this decimal 2 places to the left to get rid of this percent sign. So it'd be X is equal to 0.7425 times 55. Now we would say X is equal to, we could take our calculator again and take our 0.7425 times 55. And that gives us 40.8 is 375. It says 5 is 0.5%. We could change that to a decimal, which would be 0.005 of what number? So you know we'll divide each side by 0.005